professional software developer looking to take your skills to the next level? Maybe new to the field and looking to get everything you need to know? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Dev Coaches Podcast.
Hi, and welcome back to DogFoodCon. This is Dev Coaches Podcast, and we're glad to have Guy. Guy, how do you pronounce your last name?
I pronounce it Royse.
Royse. I thought so, but I wasn't sure.
It always throws people off because it's R-O-Y-S-E, and everyone thinks Rolls Royce, not Guy Royse, and so they get my name wrong all the time. Occasionally, people will think I'm French, and like it's Guy Royse, which I've probably offended every French listener to your podcast
which we
already.
have many.
Yeah, 12. We have 12 in France.
Yeah.
So.
Well, all 12 of you, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Actually, I know of one for sure. A student I had that was from France. And so, yeah, we have at least one listener, I can guarantee. So, anyway, yeah, so it's great to have you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and what you're passionate about?
So, I work for Nexosis. We're a machine learning startup here in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm a developer evangelist. So, my job is to go out there and spread the good news about the Nexosis API.
Excellent.
So what is the Nexosis API?
Why, thank you. So the Nexosis has built this RESTful HTTP-based web API. It's classic API, just like Stack Overflow or any other API you would use that lets you do machine learning without having to do all the hard machine learning stuff. So
I like that already.
Yeah, because I'm not a very mathy person personally. I know that's everyone says developers are mathy, but it's like, yeah, we all had a linear algebra textbook in college, and I might have opened mine in 1994. Yeah, but I haven't since. And the math
in machine learning is pretty aggressive.
Yeah, it is. It's not just aggressive though. It's kind of. I'm going to go on a slight tangent here. It's at a scale that we haven't been able to do before, right? So I like to think of machine learning as math at scale. And so we've got enough transistors now that we can run this math that we figured out decades ago. But we can actually run it and, it's like, hey, when it turns out when you have this matrix with 1,000 dimensions in it, you can do all kinds of weird predictive stuff that you didn't know you could do before. Yeah. And that's really what it is. But, all the tools and the algorithms and stuff, they're hard to use. And so we just tried to create an API where you can just focus on your data and the questions you ask. And so, you upload your data set. And then you say, hey, could you forecast this target field for me? And here are the features that I think go alongside that to help you forecast that. And then you get a result. And you don't have to pick an algorithm. You don't have to build a model or do any of that stuff. Just the idea is to make it super easy to use and very inexpensive.
That is really good. And I found you guys on my own before DogFoodCon. And I really appreciated your approach because I want to build things with machine learning. But the first step of learning it is like, oh my God, I don't have 6 years to learn this math in the meantime. I want to start building things. And like your platform, like within 2 seconds, you're up and running. You're uploading data and you're getting predictions back. It was really, it's good.
Yeah, well, it lets you do frivolous things.
Yeah.
So one of the test data sets I've been playing with is I found this. There's this organization. It's called the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a very serious scientific organization. You can tell by the 1990s style of their website. I should mock them. There's probably someone listening. But they have like hundreds and hundreds, almost 4,000 Bigfoot sightings documented. And it's got where it happened and the date and everything. And it's fantastically fun data. And this guy named Timothy Renner, he went out and turned this into a wonderful JSON and CSV file so I could use that to do machine learning against. And it's got all kinds of great data. And so I've been using that to do forecasting, predict the number of Bigfoot sightings you can see and stuff like that. And if I was doing traditional machine learning and had to pay a data science team to do this, or had to learn all this math, it would be way too frivolous for me to play with that.
Yeah.
But because it's easy to do, you can have a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah.
Right. So
the things I wanted to do were pretty frivolous too. Yeah. Which is why I was annoyed it was going to take so long to learn. I was like, I just want to gamble on sports.
You were thinking about a FanDuel type of thing, right?
Yeah, well, I spent a lot of time like trying to learn the math to build some sort of FanDuel predictive tool with machine learning. And it's just I get caught up in the technical details of how the math actually works. And it's like I wasn't able to build the thing I wanted to build, and I didn't learn anything. So it was like, oh, good. Yeah. But within I'm just over there playing. Within a few minutes, I was up and running. I could take data that I've already built for this purpose, and I can see the way that I could upload it and get results. It's way less intimidating for a developer than the traditional tools that exist.
Yeah. So one of the things our CEO says is he likes to draw the analogy with the Unity framework.
Okay.
You guys ever used Unity for game programming?
Yes, I have.
Right. It's a lot of fun, right? And before Unity existed, you had the Unreal Engine. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted to write a game, you had to license the Unreal Engine. And how much did the Unreal Engine cost?
Infinity dollars.
Yeah. Exactly. It might as well have been infinity dollars because I'm not spending $250,000.
Right.
So I can make a game in my garage.
Right. That it's never going to sell to a single person.
Not my garage. Let's be honest. Is anyone doing this work in their garage? No, it's in their office on their computer. Yeah. But anyhow.
You might have a nice garage.
Yeah, but that's where my car's at, right?
And besides, I'm bored at work anyway, so I'm
Yeah, exactly, right? And so oh man, I just lost my entire train of thought.
Comparing it to the Unity engine.
Yeah, Unity, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I promise I'm clear-headed. I've just been at this conference for 2 days, and it's taken its toll. So it was expensive to get started in any kind of video game production, and Unity came out, and then you could play with it for free. For a few bucks, you could actually license it. If your game was actually successful, then you could pay more, but you were making money, so it kind of worked.
Right.
And so people all of a sudden started building all these games, and you had this huge explosion of indie games, right? And so now we've got Steam, and it's full of all these, $15 and $20 games that I thoroughly love. I mean, I've been playing the hell out of Oxygen Not Included, and Prison Architect, and RimWorld.
No,
right?
I have some new ones to go check out now.
Yeah, and they're a lot of fun. I like base builders.
Yeah.
And those games wouldn't exist if someone hadn't done this.
Right.
And so we're trying to do the same thing with the Nexosis API to try and make it really easy and accessible for developers to use this machine learning so that they can build all kinds of cool stuff. And I don't know what they're going to build, but that's the part that kind of excites me.
Yeah.
Is I want to see what cool things people come up with building. So that's the part that really that's why I took the job.
Yeah.
Is I'm we could do all kinds of cool stuff with this. It's really exciting.
So what kind of path forward are you guys? What could I do with it today? And what will I be able to do with it in the future?
So right now we've got 2 main use cases that you can, or feature sets that you can use. It's all about time series data. So if you've got, just chronological data like daily sales,
Bigfoot sightings,
or Bigfoot sightings, right? Or if you're a pizza shop, right? You've got my sales every day. Then you can predict what your sales are going to be in the future, and you can do that alongside features. So you can say, well, I know my sales have been like this for the past 5 years.
Right.
And I can put the weather in there because I know how many inches of rain we got on those days, and the inches of rain you get has a big impact on pizza sales because people don't want to go out and get anything when it's raining. They'd rather pay someone to be miserable instead. Mm-hmm. And so you can put that in there. You can have any promotions you have in there. You can put that in there as a feature, and then you can go get the weather forecast and say, well, on Tuesday I'm planning on running a BOGO, and on Wednesday it's going to be 20% off, and you can play with those, and then see what your sales are going to be, and figure out how much staff you need, how many pizza shells you need, and whether that promotion is worth doing or not. And so that's a really common scenario. It's a straightforward forecasting problem.
Okay.
You can do that without the side features, but it's just going to look at sort of the historical pattern of the data.
Right.
The features give it more detail to work with. And,
what is a feature?
So it's really easy to think of it as rows and columns. A feature, I suppose, more technically speaking, is a thing that affects the thing you want to predict.
Okay.
So in the case of the pizza shop sales, the weather affects the prediction. Affects the number of pizza sales.
Okay.
Just like the specials that you run affect the number of pizza sales. And so those are features of that target.
What if you don't know if it affects it?
Well, then that's actually a good question that leads into the other feature we can do. The capability we have. So sometimes you don't, or a thing happens and you don't know if it did impact your data or not.
Right.
let's say there was a big storm, and you think that might have cut your pizza sales down because maybe everyone's phones were out or something.
Right.
Because, everyone's still got landlines, right?
Yeah.
And so you can do what we call an impact analysis of that historical event and see what would have happened based on past data and compare it to what actually happened and see the impact of that event. So I like to call this beforecasting because you're basically doing a forecast in the past. From a past point in time, and then you're comparing what could have been with what actually was.
Okay.
And so then you can correlate that and say, was there any correlation between this event, which might be a potential future feature,
Right.
and or not, and get an idea of how you can feed into that.
So, depending on the richness of your data set, you're able to just use your imagination to come up with things that might be factors for you.
Like, other than the API part of it, it doesn't even sound like you'd really need to be a developer. You just really need to know the data, right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair, actually. And one of the things I kind of dream about building is sort of a universal client for our API. And we're not there yet, but I think business people could get a lot of benefit of, hey, I've got this spreadsheet full of data, and can I drag this CSV file into the API and then put some values in and mix in the weather forecast from dark sky, or mix in a calendar, which we can actually do that now. You can mix in a calendar and iCal.
And then it becomes useful to the small mom and pop pizza shop that wants to analyze their data and doesn't need to spend $10,000 on some developer to spend a week developing reports for them.
Yeah. Although another way you could solve that was, someone could create like Pizzafy.
Yeah, right.
There's probably an app called Pizzafy out there already. Yeah. If there's not, there will be soon. And then just say, hey, mom and pop pizza shop, this is an app you can use to run it, and it will help predict your sales. So that'd be another way to do that. But yeah, it does make it more accessible for people that want to play around a little bit.
Mm-hmm. You're right. So I guess I could build something like that
and
just sell it to pizza shops.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That'd be one of those. You should go do that.
I'm going to go do that.
Yeah, I think that's our next venture.
You're going to be... You're going to be fabulously wealthy.
We're so sorry. This episode's no longer going to air.
I sold so much cheese.
You're going to be swimming in cheese. So much queso.
Yes. But it is interesting. I mean, we were talking with Trey Mayer earlier, and we were talking about baseball. And we got to the point where we were talking about machine learning and baseball stats and how the machine learning and big data has gotten to the point where we now have stats we never thought about before.
Yeah.
Things reveal themselves out of the data. I think it's an interesting place to be, to just be able to mine this data and get predictive analysis and like you said, beforecasting. I think it's really fascinating.
Sports is a really interesting place for me to apply this because there's a ton of results. Like, what actually took place.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of these things, it's like, okay, what was the weather like? But we don't know if that's not what I meant. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Well, the weather actually would totally be a feature on any kind of sports prediction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's going to be a game in this city.
Right.
And we've got all the stats about this team and the players and everything, and we know, this particular pitcher does this well in this kind of weather. And
yeah. Well, it's the sports have done a really good job of making that data accessible to people.
Yeah.
So you can download a spreadsheet and then can forecast and then wait a week and see if it actually worked.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it.
There's actually a lot of really interesting data out there.
Like what?
Well, I told you about the Bigfoot data that I'm using, right? Which is
I love
just
that.
a lot of fun.
Cool.
But the other data set I found by the same guy is it's great. If you go out to data.world and look at his profile, he's sitting there and he's made a tinfoil hat and he's wearing it, which is just hysterical. He's like my favorite person in the world. And he did the same thing for all these UFO sightings.
Yeah.
Now I've got about 4,000 Bigfoot sightings.
Uh-huh.
And but there's 110,000 UFO sightings in this database. And I haven't really dived into that data yet to see what I can do with it yet. But
the nice thing about sports is that they actually happened.
Well, there is that too. Yeah. Well, actually, there's kind of a lesson in that too, because when we did the Bigfoot analysis, one of the things that happened with the forecasting is it showed more Bigfoot sightings to be predicted in the summer months than in the winter months. Right. And which is, props to our API because it it found that seasonality in that data. But first conclusion might be that maybe Bigfoot hibernates. Except we're not measuring how many big feet there are.
Right.
We're measuring how many sightings of big feet there are.
Right.
But then we're actually, the other thing we did an impact analysis to see the effect of the X files on the number of Bigfoot sightings. The idea here being that, if people are thinking about Bigfoot because they watch the X files and things like that, then they might see more of these sorts of events. And the reason you would see that, and what we found was that those are highly correlated.
Okay.
Imagine
Go
that.
figure. Yeah.
But in reality, I think that's because of the internet.
Right.
Because the number of sightings didn't go up, the number of reports went up. The internet happened, and everyone could then go through and say, hey, it used to be I'd be at the bar drinking with my buddies, and I say, yeah, you remember that time I saw Bigfoot? And they're like, shut up, Bob, we've heard the story 1,000 times, right? And no one believes him. He doesn't have anyone to tell. But now you got the internet, and so it's not even the number of sightings that are going up. You're really measuring the number of reports. And so,
What's the difference? I don't understand. What's the difference between a sighting and a report?
well, a sighting implies someone saw Bigfoot.
Right.
But lots of people see Bigfoot but don't tell anyone.
Oh, I see.
And so the
gotcha.
tellings of
Yeah.
having seen them.
Yeah.
And so it's not how many big feet there are. It's not how many big feet were seen.
How many people?
It's
have
how
the
many
internet.
big feet were seen that someone told us about.
Right.
And that's what we're actually measuring. And there's kind of a lesson in there in knowing your data.
Yeah.
Of sometimes your data isn't representing quite what you think it means.
But this is like these kind of tools seem good to me because then I can focus purely on the problem side of the problem. Like I could focus completely on the Bigfoot side
Yeah.
or the baseball side and worry a whole lot less about the math that makes it possible.
Oh, absolutely. That's the key value of
Yeah.
of this tool. So it's why I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. I'm actually getting excited to play with it. I haven't had the opportunity, but since yesterday, Pat's been talking about it, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I've been very excited about it.
Yeah, there was something else I was thinking about with the data. I can't get to it now. Oh well, maybe it'll come back to me if we keep talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are you doing the rest of the day?
I'm just kind of hanging out at our booth and handing out little pink brains and stickers and signing people up for raffles and stuff.
You have a wheel.
And we have a big wheel. We call it the Wheel of Doom.
Yeah.
You spin it and it's very clicky. It's very exciting. I feel like I'm on The Price is Right every single time I spin it.
You need a tiny microphone. A skinny microphone.
A skinny mic.
Yeah.
For the wheel.
For the
To
Bob
hold
Barker.
it while you're.
Oh yeah. Like I could be like Drew Carey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Bob Barker. I guess Bob Barker is really, in my mind, Bob Barker is the true host of The Price is Right.
That's what I was thinking of.
And Drew Carey is great, but
He's-
Bob Barker's kind of he's the icon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You hear that, Drew Carey?
Yeah. We know where Akron's at.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
You've made jokes about Youngstown. We know you know the area.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
It was.
I really enjoyed learning about your platform. Did you have anything else you wanted to promote? URLs, social media?
Community events you're going to be involved in? Anything. So.
Nothing huge. I just encourage people to go out and check out our API. I mean,
Give the URL again?
Yeah, it's at nexosis.com, and that's nexosis.com.
Sure.
And yeah, it's on my shirt. Am I on camera? I'm on camera. I didn't know that's on camera.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, should have taken the name tag off. Jeez. But yeah, so I'm at nexosis.com.
Nice.
And if anyone has any questions, they're free to reach out to me. That's my job.
Nice.
Actually. So
Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, we really had a good time talking to you. Thank you for being a part of the show.
thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
This is good.
Thanks so much for listening to the Dev Coaches Podcast. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit devcoaches.com and on Twitter @devcoaches. We'll catch you next time.